Hi everyone, I am Mert. With my friends Semina, Funda, and Tulga, we are gonna talk about Stacy Matrix. In our project, I'm the product owner. Semina is the Scrum Master, and Funda and Tulga are the developers. You can see our team values, our backlog, and our objectives and key results. If you want to examine the details, you can check our mural page. First of all, what is Stacy Matrix? The Stacy Matrix was developed and published by Ralph Douglas Stacey. It is designed to help understand the factors that contribute to complexity and choose the best management actions to address different degrees of complexity. It is not specifically designed to address project delivery, but it is just as relevant to that area as any other. In Stacy Matrix, there are two dimensions, agreement and certainty. Close to certainty is when underlying cause and effect relationships are clear, past experiences well applicable, and the outcomes predictable. Far from certainty is when underlying cause and effect relationships are unclear, past experiences irrelevant, and the outcomes are unpredictable. Close to agreement is when the key stakeholders involved in an issue or decision are aligned in terms of values, interests, and objectives, are close enough to find common ground to move forward. And far from agreement is when the key stakeholders involved in an issue or decision are in conflict and are too far apart to find common ground to move forward. You can see in the right picture when we get far from agreement and certainty, it gets more complicated or in more complex way. And we get close to agreement and certainty, it gets simpler. And Semina will continue.
Thank you, Mert. As you can see in the graphics, Stacy matrix consists of 4 parts. These are simple, complicated, complex, and chaotic. We will explain it more detail in the next slides. I will present the simple and complicated zone, and Funda will present the complex and chaotic zone. Next slide, please. Simple zone, as the name suggests, works on uncomplicated situations. A lot of information about the situation should be collected and react according to the change in the situation. Speaking for Agile, we can solve this zone with the waterfall method. The waterfall method is briefly a sequential development process that flows like a waterfall through all phases of the project, like analysis, design, development, and testings. With each phase completely wrapping up before the next phase begins, if the cause of the decreasing sales revenue is due to a specific and easily identifiable factor, such as change in market demand or decrease in marketing efforts, then the situation could be classified as simple. Next slide, please. And we can exemplify the simple zone as follows: bake a cake using a recipe from a cookbook, like manage a payroll system. Next slide, please. And the second zone I will present is the complicated zone. Compared to the simple zone, this zone, which contains more complicated situations, requires professionals related to the situation and needs to review past experiences. It can be resolved by taking sufficient time for consultation, discussion, creative thinking, and critical perspective. Kanban can be used on behalf of Agile. Agile Kanban framework focuses on visualizing the entire project on board in order to increase project transparency and collaboration between team members. If the cause of the decreasing sales revenue is more complex, such as change consumer behavior or market competition, then the situation could be classified as complicated. Next slide, please. And we can Simplify the complicated zone as follows in daily basis of like fix a watch, learn to fly a plane. And thank you for listening. Now Funda will tell you about the two other zones.
Thank you, Semina. I'm going to talk about the last two zones of the Stacy Matrix, the complex and chaotic zone. If the complexity high and the agreement is low, then it is called complex zone. In complex zone, there is more unpredictability than predictability. For example, if the cause of the decreasing sales revenue due to multiple interacting factors such as changes in market demand and increased competition with no clear cause and effect relationships, then the situation could be classified as complex. Leaders need to prove, sense, and act. They need to create boundaries within which people can call for action. In complex zone, good or best practices will not work in this domain since there are lots of unknowns. What helps here are the emergent practices. The leadership which suits this domain is servant leadership. From software perspective, agile ways of working, emergent practices, and Scrum best fits the needs here. Next slide, please. These are some real-life examples of complex zone. Manage a large organization, raise a child, improve difficult employees' performance. If the complexity low and the agreement is low, then it's called chaotic zone. This domain is characterized by a lot of uncertainty, unpredictability, and disagreements. In this domain, there is no clarity on the requirements, people, or technology. There is high turbulence, no direct relation between cause and effect. For example, if the cause of the decreasing sales revenue is highly unpredictable and unstable, such as sudden changes in the economy or global events with no clear cause and effect relationships, then this situation could be classified as chaotic. None of the good, best, or emergent practices work in this domain. The leadership has to act first, sense, and then respond. Leadership needs to bring some order to the chaos first and then look for solutions. The leadership which suits to this domain is entrepreneurship. Next slide, please. These are some real-life examples of chaotic zone, COVID-19 pandemic, the violence and genocide in Rwanda, staff turnover and financial crisis in a non-profit organization. Now it's Tulga's turn.
Thank you, Funda. Hello, everyone. I am Tulga. In this part, I will talk about relation between Agile and Stacy Matrix. If we want to integrate the Agile method into the Stacy Matrix, we must first understand the Agile method and see in which area we can use in the Stacy Matrix. The Stacy Matrix is a tool used to analyze the complexity of the given situation, while Agile is a software development methodology that aims to respond to changing requirements and customer needs through iterative and incremental development. Agile methodologies are particularly suited to projects that fall within the complex and chaotic domains of the Stacy Matrix. In these domains, the problem and its solution are not well understood, and there may be little agreement among stakeholders about how to proceed. Agile methodologies provide a way to manage uncertainty and rapidly respond to changing requirements through continuous feedback and adaptation. If I give an example of the situation, you can imagine like you are sitting and thinking about create a plan of what you want to achieve and how you are going to do it. Then you execute the plan. After some time, you sit down again, you check if your plan is still valid and modify it accordingly. You take all new input factors into account when you adapt your plan, new or change requirements, better understanding of the possible solution, gained knowledge of use, technology, etc. Then you execute the adapted plan. After that, you are repeat the cycle of planning and execution phase until your project is finished. or until the result of the project is good enough to stop working on it and continue with another more important project. So basically you work in iterations, create a new plan for each iteration while considering new and change input factors and then execute it. Next slide, please. If I want to sum up all that I have said, overall, the Stacy Matrix can be useful tool to help teams determine the appropriate approach to take for a given project or situation, and agile methodologies can provide a framework for managing projects in complex and chaotic domains. Another slide, please. You can see our references from there. Thank you for listening.